I'm going to invite Chancy Mauluka to please join me on the stage. He has a comms talk to deliver. Big round for Chancy. Missed in the backstage, an account of personal experiences of working with secret forces and community mobilization. I've looked forward to this. I think there's a lot of work that we do that goes completely unrecognized because we can't talk about it. And it's a delight that Chancy's here to share his 10 minutes with us. Thank you. You need a clicker? A clicker? Okay, thank you. We're just getting the presentation up here. Here we go. All yours, Chancy.
Apa kabar semua? Baik. That is Bahasa Indonesia, meaning hi everyone. So hi everyone. Thank you. My name is Chancy Mauluka from Malawi. That's UNICEF Malawi. This is in East South Africa. I have more than 15 years of experience in community mobilization. I've worked with an indigenous organization, Comm, Creative Center for Community Mobilization. I've worked with Management Sciences for Health, and then joined the Johns Hopkins Center for Communication Programs. Now I'm working for UNICEF. During these experiences, I've had occasions to work with secret forces. Not secret forces as in security, but in mysterious powers. And this is the reason for me standing here, to share with you some of these experiences, some of the techniques that I used, as well as some of the questions that I left unanswered. In 2003, I worked under a small grants project that aimed at strengthening some of the initiatives that had been initiated by the communities themselves. One of the schools that I worked with was this school in a rural community, a school isolated by mountains and rivers, a school surrounded by a community of farmers with a unique heritage of values and beliefs. I worked with this community to help them identify their dream. They dreamt of a society of happy people, no diseases. A community where children would succeed in school, come back to the community, and help their families and others. So they came up with a number of initiatives, one of which was to teach survival skills to children at the school. So after some considerable time of sustainability, it was time to give them the grant. On 16 April 2004, I drive to the community in the mountains with money, songs and dances. Everyone is happy. The grant is come. I give them the grant and drive back to town. But just the next day at dawn, the head teacher of the school calls me. Chancy, you know the grant was given, the machines were bought, but the machines have been stolen. I said, what? In the morning, people will dance for the grant. In the afternoon, we buy the machines. And then at night, everything is stolen. We are back at one. You really need to find the machines. Day one, household search. People go into people's bedrooms to hunt for the machine. No machine is found. Day two, day three, week one, week two, no machine. Week three, I drive to the community in the mountains. Tactic number one, visionary reflection. I remind the people of the dream that we had developed and tell them, it is not a machine that has been stolen. It is a dream stolen. Tactic number 2, emotional appeal through realia. I asked one of the orphans to recite a poem that I had helped develop. My community has stolen my dream. Who's going to trust us anymore if we steal our own dream? Goosebumps all over. Who's going to trust us anymore? Tactic number 3, handing over the stick for empowerment. I remind the community of how through collective efficacy they had worked around situations to defeat vandalism, and remind them that they had the needed intelligence and skill to find just a lost machine. Imagine if this were your personal property. What would you do? And one of the chiefs stands up and says, Chancy, come next week and the machines will be there. So they do something which I never expected, beyond my imagination, beyond my control. They invite a traditional doctor who comes at the school, does some magical gestures, and says within 3 days the machines will be here. On day 3, some young men come to the head teacher. They are selling machines. These were the very machines that were stolen at the school, and these were the very people who stole the machines. In 2008, I'm at a different school. Teachers at this school can't teach effectively owing to fears of magical acts. Sometimes when they are teaching, they can suddenly see a chameleon on the wall. Other times, a snake. At times, both teachers and pupils can see a heap of feces on the floor. In apprehension, they dash out of the classroom. Commotion and bruises. I gathered during participatory action research, which is one of the first steps in Theatre for Development, that this school was constructed at a site that belonged to a cultural sect, a secret sect in the past. So members of this sect felt infringed and they resented formal education. What do? Follow them. Build rapport with them. Learn their special language and special symbols to better communicate with them. Understand their values to inculcate them with modern values. And then finally, hand over the stick for empowerment. They are the only people who can work around the situation. I learned during our discussions that one of their values is cultural creativity. They want their children to come up with cultural masks. For them, a mask is a symbol of connectivity with the world of ancestors. So when you put on the mask, a spirit of an ancestor will come into you to talk to the community, make recommendations to the community. I say this is a very good entry point. I help them see that we need a world of educated ancestors, educated spirits. Spirits that will be able to make recommendations, important recommendations to our community in a world that's fast changing. And for us to achieve that, we need to educate our children now, the future spirits. I talked to some cultural guardians as well as small groups of the cultural sect. And during a Theatre for Development performance, one of the cultural guardians stood up and said, whoever is doing this should stop because we have a future at hand. He didn't say what kind of future. But they conducted a cultural cleansing at the school. Something that was beyond my control. Something that was beyond my comprehension. However, things changed. No more snakes, no more chameleons, and no more feces. And for once in the history of this school, after more than a decade, pupils were selected to secondary schools. I encountered a similar situation and used similar tactics. Give me a slide. At a health center where biomedical staff were threatened by acts of magic from, they said, traditional doctors who grudged the biomedical staff. So, apart from the other tactics that I used, in this situation I used what I termed as demystification of science. Okay. So, I made them see the spirit in the microscope, the plasmodium in the microscope. And at the end of the day, they said, okay, we saw a spirit in the microscope. And things changed. They cleansed the health center, and they started referring cases of fever to the health center. So, what am I saying? When the communities have been empowered to use their indigenous knowledge and skills, there's only a limit to which we can go. Sometimes we can be turned helpless. We are not in control. We cannot understand what's happening, like in my case when they were doing the cleansings. So am I singing a song in praise of indigenous knowledge and skills? Yes and no. Yes, because through these experiences, I've come to learn the importance of indigenous knowledge and skill in solving community problems in a way that conventional intelligence would not have done. And I'm saying no because I never knew what happened in the backstage. What was happening when they were doing those cleansings? The image that dawned on me at last is that we need to use indigenous knowledge conditionally. If we cannot know what's happening in the backstage, we cannot fully appreciate the power of indigenous knowledge. So, like a pendulum in Bali, we need to dive deep with anthropological methods to understand what happens in the background. We cannot sing a song in praise of indigenous knowledge and skills if we do not know what happens at the backstage.